President Biden's economic advisor, Jared Bernstein, had this to say about a possible recession. Take a listen.
It is very hard to conclude that we are in a recession when you look at the payroll and the job gains that we've seen. Now, it is tricky to look around a corner here, and I'm not going to predict quarters down the road.
Well, if he doesn't know, who does? Well, I'll tell you who might know, and he joins us now. It's Steve Forbes. Steve, do you think we're in a recession?
I think tens of millions of Americans feel we're in a recession right now when prices are still rising faster than incomes. So whatever name economists want to give to it, people are feeling a lot of hurt. They don't see much faith in the future. They see mortgage rates going up, even though they've come off some. They're still about twice what they were a year ago, which means those adjustable mortgages are going to hit households too. That's hurting future housing sales as well. So they can spin it any way they want. The economy's not going the way it should, and the American people know it.
And what kind of damage could the Fed do? We know they're way behind the curve. They're playing catch-up. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, the Federal Reserve is guilty of economic malpractice. They're raising interest rates artificially now. They feel the way you fight inflation is by depressing the economy, and they never state it that way, but they want to crush demand. And, of course, that will bring prices down. If you reduce the number of buyers, reduce people's incomes, throw them out of work, you have going out of business sales, that leads to lower prices. But it's not the way you create a healthy economy. You create a healthy economy by increasing production, not by decreasing it. But the Fed hasn't learned that lesson. But you have to give them a little slack. They've only been around about 110 years.
I knew that was coming. Next one, Steve. A former advisor to President Obama says the Democrats are doomed by inflation. Jason Furman telling the New York Times, quote, "My guess is that the negative views about inflation are so deeply baked in that nothing can change in the next few months to change them." Looking a little further out, Steve, perhaps November, what's your prediction?
Well, inflation makes it sound like people are kind of crazy, think inflation is embedded in, when even if gas prices come down, you're still paying 80% more than you did a year ago. Oh, those poor benighted people. Right. But the fact of the matter is people can see reality very clearly. They know this administration hasn't a clue. They want higher taxes. They still want to wage war against oil and gas, even though natural gas has now been declared by the Europeans, who are very green, as a clean fuel. Hello, White House, get up to date. But so, yes, inflation's going to be around us for a while, both the monetary kind and the non-monetary kind.
Very quickly, Steve, the president comes back from his Mideast trip basically with absolutely nothing, a very strange kind of visit with Saudi Arabia and conflicting reports on what was said and what was not said. But I think it really shows a lack of leadership from this administration. What say you?
Well, the fact that he felt he had to go over there, couldn't even shake the prince's hand, had to do, the knuckle thing, shows what I think a knuckle-headed policy they've had towards the Middle East. Trump put in some very good policies, including the Abraham Accords, which is why ultimately I think you're going to see formal relations between Saudi Arabia and Israel. They in that part of the world, they realize the real threat is coming from Iran. They're going to they realize they're going to have to do something about it. So Biden comes home, and maybe instead of begging the Saudis for oil, how about going to North Dakota, Texas, and Louisiana and begging for oil production there? He'd get a good response.
Steve Forbes on fire this Monday. Steve, terrific stuff. Thank you so much for joining us today. We really do appreciate it.